All right, little top down. Let's do that for the Discord here on a beautiful Sunday. 23 of you beautiful people are in here. And yeah, we did give a little bit of a long trade from here last night. 104 was my setup that I gave to you guys. I mean, it played up and then stop loss was down here. So this would still be valid if you're still in it, but it's good to be back. Sunday, fun day. Let's look at this. So what do we have to look at first and foremost? It's definitely the monthly candle close. We were talking about this on Friday when I got back. So important. The highest monthly candle close in all of history. Okay, of all of the history, which is very nice in my opinion. So you can see that we have closed. If you didn't know, up here on your charts, up top here, right here, you can see if you hover over the candle, it says OHLC, which is open, high, low, close. Okay, so you can just hover over the candle here, and you can automatically see that the high is 111,968, which is pretty cool. But the close, the candle close, was at 104,566, right? Little cool information. Always learning something in here. So that always changes if you're always wondering what that is up here. That is what it is. Okay, so beautiful close here. Green dot confirmed on the monthly, the 2-week as well, pushing up here, resetting here on VWAP. The weekly. Okay, so the weekly, this is our first weekly bearish. Weekly close for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7 up, 1 down. I'll take that any day with the Bitcoin price action. Okay, so this is pretty juicy indeed. Okay, we have come back perfectly down to retest the point of control and bounced from there. So this is, looking a little nasty. What we don't want to see is this weekly candle close come below here. We do not want to see a full bearish engulfing of the entire wick. Okay, so that's something that we should watch for tonight. Closing below 102. Okay, that 102 area is going to be where we look for price to hold tonight. Anything above that is, it's still bearish close, but nonetheless, we have been going up only for quite some time, so be aware of that. Lots of room on our momentum to continue growing. If we're looking at this on a weekly, it's nice to see that these things tend to replicate. So we have replication. What does that mean? So we have, 3 highs and a trigger wave, 3 highs and a trigger wave, 2 highs and a trigger wave. Okay, so a little bit different on this push up here on this trigger wave here. As we can see, each one of these trigger waves has led to a very almost astronomical move. Okay, so what are we looking for now? I'm looking for consolidation and continuation. That is what I'm looking for. ABC correction and continuation here. Maybe VWAP resetting and a bounce off of that 0 line like that. Okay, so very similar pattern that has occurred. This one is clearly, this top was faster, okay, than this consolidation and this consolidation. Okay, so this was a bit faster. We are getting to that, euphoric end of the bull run that we are all looking forward to, and hopefully our altcoins are looking forward to that too. You guys have also been notified that I'm starting to average into some of my altcoins. I notified you guys the other day that, I had bought into my altcoins. I hold the same altcoins that I have always held: FET, SUI, TIA, Render, Link, Injective. Okay, so I've started to put a little bit more capital into these things, considering that I have been buying back in here. Okay, that's where I was buying on all these tokens. So don't think that I'm like, my average is here and I'm trying to bring it down, into here. Okay, it's from bear market lows. So I'm just adding a little bit now that I have a little bit more of capital from trading. Right, this is what we want to do as traders. Safe position, spot buys, planning on the altcoin season eventually happening sometime this year or early 2026. Okay, and we obviously monitor that. Kyle does a good job of giving you guys a macro update on the new poll and on all the things that we tend to look at. I will also give you everything that I'm doing, whether I'm selling my Bitcoin, whether I'm selling my altcoins. You will all be notified on that as well as we proceed. Okay. Now 3-day, the 3-day is the concern here. So we got that 3-day bearish divergence, right? So we got this higher high and we got the lower low in here. Okay, so that 3-day bearish divergence is something that you should be aware of. Not saying that this is going to bring us down. That weekly bear div hasn't confirmed really just yet, but we are getting those bear divs. So that's always something. You know how we trade. We know that the bearish divergence, typically where they start, they tend up returning back down here. The only thing difference is that we have the trend. Okay, so the trend, obviously, we do not look for the full. It's like when you're shorting a bear div in an uptrend. You know, you're not looking for the full move. You're looking for the retracement and go, depending on where that retracement is. I really want to see the lows of this 90,000 hold at minimum. Okay, I want to see the continuation of higher lows throughout this thing, pushing us onwards and upwards. I think that's going to be beneficial to the price action. But yeah, big doji engulfing here on the 3-day, something to be aware of. But nonetheless, we have come back down into our daily here. So our daily, we have clearly push, pull, right? So push, pull, push, pull, push, pull. And now we have a pathetic top, in my opinion. Why do I say pathetic? Because we never like SFP'd in here. We never like triple topped in here, right? We didn't, you know, this is kind of descending. So this generally will create a flag that will hopefully break out. So I'm not saying it's a pathetic. I am saying it is a pathetic top. It's kind of like lackluster in my opinion. The double top here was the entry if we were looking at hindsight and where we would have looked to bounce from. But currently right now we are bouncing, right? We've come down to the range, right? Retest to the range, right? So breakout, retest, continuation trade is still very possible right now. I'm not trying to get overly bullish. I would like to see more consolidation before we continue. Okay, I don't think it's going to go this week. I would say probably into middle to late June is where I would look for the continuation of the move. And what happens in here until then is something that, you know, we'll just look to trade it and make lots of money from it throughout our weeks of trading here. But catching that euphoric move, we'll always be looking for that, you know, big sweep down, double bottom continuation trade that hopefully we can all jump on and catch the big trade out of it. That's always the fun. But, you know, over here we try to hit lots of singles and doubles and base hits, right? We'll take this trade, we'll take this trade, we'll take this trade, and hopefully we take this trade, and it turns off to be the one that goes to Valhalla, okay? So we'll try to catch most of the moves. And the DCA areas, we obviously, our team provides quite a extensive amount of TA and areas and all that kind of stuff with CVO's pivots, Kyle's trades, Brewberry's trades. We're always on the prowl, so, you know, higher chances of catching these moves and these moves and these moves, okay? And, you know, with me, we've been able to catch a lot of these moves even on my live streams and stuff like that. So trigger wave coming in here for the daily, posturing to the upside, right? So this is typically where we front run the green dot, okay? This is typically where we do it, right? Is the confirm of the posturing to the upside, okay? However, I would like to see this momentum wave here have that curvature to the upside. Okay, I would like to see the next candle come in positive. We'll see how this one prints right here. If this one closes positive, I would be more than likely that this is going to push, and that could be a nice, beautiful trigger wave. Which, you know, in a daily time frame, whenever you get a trigger wave, typically is quite bullish. Okay, and we can look at previous runs in here where you get a daily trigger wave like this, and this sends you flying. Okay, trigger wave here, right, sends you flying. Okay, same with this one here, sends you flying. So these can be bullish. We want confirmation that it's gonna play. Okay, so we can front run it a little bit with our 12-hour here. We have a green dot confirmation VWAP crossover on the 0 line here, looking to push back up. And when just generally looking at this price action, what can we see? We can simply see that we have come down, perfectly retested the point of control volume area in here. So this is a very big, you know, level of support, right? And then we have left a big old gap to the upside, right? So this would be our gap, right, where we would look to sell, right? So we are in the middle with you, right? Like if we push up in here, this would be a breakdown, retest, continuation down. Okay, so be well aware of that. We could have a, you know, fake out way back up in here, a golden pocket retracement and continuation down, right? But what we're looking for is A, B, C. And we're not sure where C is going to land, whether C is going to be here or C is going to be here or C is going to be here, right? So this is the hard part right here, is finding where we potentially bounce, and we'll hopefully be able to identify that through it possibly this week or the following week coming up. Okay. Market cipher here looks bullish, right? But typically with something that does come below our oversold area here, we are typically waiting for the trigger wave. Like this is like, hey, dummy, pay attention, execute. Okay, pay attention, execute. Right. This typically gives you a deep anchor wave. Typically gives you an opportunity to execute. Anchor wave, execute. Right. So if we look at price action here, right, we got anchor wave, and then we got execute. Okay. That double top that we just talked about. Okay, so it typically gives you some breathing room going into the move. All right. We also know Bitcoin sometimes it doesn't give a shit and it just goes right. So be well aware of that right now. But we're just going into the weekly candle close. Right. What we said is we do not want to close below 102. Pretty close. Okay, pretty close. That would be a sweep below these lows here, but we do not want the candle closing below here. Okay, for our weekly, and that would just be giving us a big old bearish engulfing here. So that's kind of what's going to be on my radar going into this evening. Oh, and short term here, so a nice bounce off of that level here as well. And the trade was given to you guys by me. Just the area. I was looking at 104 for a bounce, very obvious like bounce area. Now, what typically happens with price action, and you can track this as well as on the weekend, right? You'll get Friday and you'll get some sort of move going into Saturday. Let's say it moves up, and then you'll get Sunday and you'll typically get a correction down. What does this do? Okay, what does this do? Why does it go up and then down, or in the opposite, down and then up? This creates a CME gap. Okay, so we always watch the CME here. So we go over to CME here. You see how the CME is not trading right now, right? But where do we start, right? So we have gone up, and then we have come down, and now we are going up. So we might gap up right now, creating a CME gap below us, which typically does get recovered. Okay? So these are all things to be aware of what's going on in the week. And what is really going on is they're not intentionally putting in these CME gaps. Okay? It's not like their job, right? But if we look at price action here, we have pushed up, we have come down. Now we are pushing up, right? So we may get a little CME gap that wants to be recovered. False move Monday, right? Coming down for false move Monday. So we dump false move Monday, and then we pump going into the rest of the week. These are things that you can definitely look at. I wouldn't solely base your trading off of these things, but it's very, helpful to be aware of what's going on really here and what is it creating that can be traded come Monday and Tuesday. Right, for the rest of the weeks. Okay, so it's always good to plan that way. On the weekend, I typically do this when I'm going into Monday for a trading day. Okay, so it can definitely help you out. So a little long down in here at 104, I gave you guys. Looking to come up into some key areas. So what are those key areas? Let's whip them up and let's start to cook these beautiful levels. Okay, so we did come down here. Bounce off that point of control. We had a buy level down in here. Okay, I'm going to get rid of the support and resistance right now. I will update these. So we do have a nice juicy order block in here, a couple of sell walls on our way up here. Okay, so this one's going to be the major one in my opinion. So let's make this the pink box because, we love a good old pink box. So this one's going to be the major one, the retest of previous lows, right? And it is also, I believe, the impulse golden pocket. Is it from this one? I believe it's this one to this one. No, it is not. It's the impulse. Okay, so it's this one here. Okay, top of that is our golden pocket, so our special box, and then there's a nice juicy order block in there as well. So that's going to be, if we do push, right? If we do whatever, I would like to see this, and then a bounce, and then a push, and then we'll see if this will be our B, right? Our B, and then we get our C, depending on where that wants to go, whether it's here or whether it's here, right? But this is where I would look for that, A, B. Sorry, I don't do the Elliott wave drawings that much. That would be the ABC here. So you start up here, A, B, C, right? And we're just trying to find out where this is going to be so that we can fire off that gig along and hopefully take this thing quite higher. But that's how we plan. Doesn't mean that's exactly how it's going to be. Okay, so that's kind of the idea right here. Now that we are below this range here, so if we're looking at this range as well, right, we can isolate this range and just take this data in here, and we can see we have acceptance below, this value area high now. So that's also another thing is that if we deviate, if we come up and we deviate, so if this is extended, right, if we deviate out of this, we could possibly be looking for those shorts as well to come back into the range. Okay, so that's also another opportunity because we have switched structure here after mitigating these lows. on multiple higher term timeframes, right? This is the first time we've really broken significant structure, right? We have higher low, higher low, higher low, right? We had the little fake out right here. That was our little fake out. And then boom. Okay, so there was a bull div in here that we traded. Okay, and that was the big move. But we did have a fake out mitigation. It was a wick, right? This one we have actual candle closes below the lows here. So this is typically where we look for that correction, depending on where we get to. Okay, so you have your resistance in front of you, going into the 4, the 3, the 2, the 1. Yeah, you got anchor trigger wave. Your money is coming down. Trying to wait for the turn back up. So you can see it's flattening out here. We would like to see it turn back up. You can also see a VWAP bounce here and some positive posturing on our stochastics. Okay, so bottoming structure, not confirmed yet though. Okay, when we go into our 3, our 2, and our 1 is very similar. Okay, the problem with this is that we never came down and swept any of our key levels below. Oops. So this would be our liquidity zone that we are looking to sweep as well now. So this would be our SFP that we are looking for possibly even this evening, that we could sweep this and then bounce. Okay. This doesn't, to me, you get your 3 drives, bullish divergence, higher low, continuation trade, bull flag, breakout here. Okay, it's very shite price action. Okay, what I would like to see is this come back down, SFP, and then go, and then you get your spring, your flag, and then your breakout. That would be more ideal, and that would be more like a Wyckoff accumulation down in this area, but not saying I'm going to be trading yet. But I'm definitely going to set an alert, Alt-J, okay, and I'm going to set an alert in front of that low so that I'm notified if we do come down there, that I'm prepared for that. I'll also set one over here so that I'm notified as well if we come up to our sell wall. Okay, initial sell wall here, so you could look for some sort of resistance in here. I did give a short idea from here to come back down into that low here. It's just you want to be more picky. If price comes into here, you want to wait for a high to come in and a lower high and a mitigation of that low, and then look to fire off your short after the fact you get that. Okay, you don't want to just blindly short this thing. Okay, but this would be our first resistance area that we are definitely looking for at 105 to about 105.5. Okay, and then that sweep of the low here at 103. Remember, we do have a very strong level of support coming in at 104. There's a big block of volume here. That's why I gave the long from down in here. There's a big block of volume in here that, will be, if you get into here, it's going to be choppy. Okay, just be aware of that. It moves quite nicely outside of this. Okay, so if we go over there, we pull this up, we go extend right. Okay, there you go. A little trick. It'll automatically pull it all the way to the right. Okay, you can see that you get into here, not until you get back up into this zone up in here do we have much higher volume. In here, price actually moves quite quickly in comparison to something like this. Okay, you can see range bound and then swift movements all throughout here, right? So possibly we push and we fill in up in here, and then we sweep down eventually, and then we go. Okay, just creating a nice volume. And we like this because the more volume we put in here, if we go higher, the easier it is for a breakout, retest, continuation trade. Okay, because there's a big chunk of volume here supporting price action to allow it to not only hold, but push off of. Okay, so things to just be aware of coming into this week, so that we all are ready. A couple alerts set, isolating price. Right now, it's not somewhere where I'm going to play. This is definitely, if we are labeling it, it is definitely the hot dog zone. So let's be aware that this is not something that I'm typically going to participate in just yet. I would like to see us either come up here, SFP rejection, short it down, SFP long it up. Okay, just trying to play the range. This is a bigger range within a range. So if we're looking at the top of the range, I would say the top of the range is right up here at 106, and then the lower part of the range is clearly these lows in here at 102. Okay, no closes below 102 tonight, and I think it's still all good in the hood for Bitcoin. Okay, short-term time frames, if we're zooming in a little bit more aggressively right now, for me, right now, just understanding big order block in here, so resistance to be tapped, very pathetic low not a big fan. Bull div, retest continuation. Yes, you could have taken this trade, but right now, bear div, rollover, mitigation of the low, lower high, roll over, lower low, bull div, push up, higher high. So it's chopping, right? It's all over the place, right? So you have very small time frame plays right now, and some volume. Like volume has, it is not bad for the weekend. Let's be honest. But at the end of the day, we saw how this entered the weekend, right? Look how choppy and disgusting this really is. So for me, letting the dust settle going into Monday and being prepared is the best thing we can do. And hopefully this has prepared you for the week. Okay, looking at the NASDAQ quickly. A nice push up, still looking strong. Okay, bull flagging out, consolidation here at critical levels. The S&P, same deal. Okay, still hasn't filled this gap down below here. It tapped into it on that Friday, but then it has just consolidated sideways, which is looking good. Total 2, I think TradeFly pointed this out to you guys as well. So it has come up into a range within the range. So as long as we're holding, I would say these lows here at 3.1. Let's call it 3.1. As long as we're holding 3.1, this still remains quite bullish in my opinion. Okay. Total 3 has not put in a lower low, but this has changed quite a bit here in the sense that we are doing one of these now. So we are in a slower uptrend right now, but you are at some support right now within this upwards move. Double top in here, not so nice. Mitigation of the low. So what we want to see is this low hold, and a reclaim and continuation here. Okay. But we got to be aware that any reclaim can be met with, breakdown, retest, continuation down. Okay. So that's more probable because we have changed market structure here after losing that area. So that could be the play here. And then we go off of that. But right now, holding that upwards momentum, trying to reclaim back above that 850 billion mark. That's going to be critical for total 3. Looking at Ethereum quickly, because Ethereum and Solana are going to need to lead the way if we want to see some sort of altcoin push. Okay, so sideways for Ethereum is still good. Any sweep down below is welcomed as well. So that sweep 2300, that would be ideal. Right in here, 2287. But any sort of sideways action is fine for Ethereum. Same with Solana as well. Solana has lost that bullish momentum just like total 3. So we can change this one back to how we had it for total 3. And it's very similar. Maybe not as accurate, but we'll see how this holds. For now, I would like to see Solana get above that 185. You can see 185 is definitely the critical level for Solana to succeed here. Same with Sui. Sui's come back down perfectly into our $3 psychological level. Okay, but it has mitigated this low here. So looking for a bounce out of Sui. I did buy Sui down in here, right? So looking okay. Link as well. I did buy some down here. $13 Link I think is quite a deal. Okay, Injective, same thing. I did buy some Injective. Anything under $12 on Injective I think is a deal. So these are all, altcoins are going to take their time. If we look at dominance, really, we said to you guys, I'm not thinking, we're magicians or anything. I watch a lot of Ben Cowan, and I am aware that he is thinking Bitcoin goes higher. Now, what I said and what I've been comparing it to is something like this, right? Not saying this is going to happen exactly, but if we're to shrink this down, we have a high, and then we're looking for a higher high. I don't think we're going to come exactly this high, right? But we have this happened, and then we had this, and then we had altcoin season, okay? So kind of what I'm looking at, right? This has always been the sell wall here, the 786 sell wall that I've always looked at. So whether we come in here, I think it's 67 is the 786 if I pull it on a more macro. We go from high to low here. Go from high to low. Not perfectly accurate. Yeah, 66.3, right? I'd have to go to the tits here to the high. Anyways, you guys know what I mean. So in this area, looking for that rejection, okay, and then down we go, trying to mitigate that low down in here at 61.3%. Once we lose that 61.3% and we get acceptance below this range, I think we can roll over. But it's a matter of if and when, okay. Timing this stuff is not easy. Time is always the hardest thing to calculate when you are trying to predict stuff. Okay, so looking for this thing to push up, maybe make a higher high, because it never did make a lower. No, never mitigated this low, right? We never came below that low, so there's no reason to believe that, it was altcoin season. So if we do push in a high, we would look for this low. We'd move this up to this one, right? But just being aware and patient is what we have to be, right? If we want those gains, we got to be patient. And hopefully that's a good update for everybody going into Monday. And I'll end it there.